Vu.
Hey guys,
Yeah.
live on Facebook.
We're super excited to answer all of your questions about PolyGEL, and Vu is going to answer all your questions and do a demo. So
make
stay
sure you're
tuned.
commenting and throwing out any questions that you want to know about PolyGEL, and we'll keep letting Vu know as you guys are saying what's up. So
Let's go.
Let's do it.
One of your guys' questions was about prepping. So Vu's going to start with a prepping. So on a natural nail. So
All
let's
right.
go.
Great, so first thing we're gonna do is start off with prepping. So we have here Rachel, our model, who has a nail it's not been prepped yet. So we're gonna go ahead and prep this nail. We're gonna start off with, and you got two different options here on your pushing tool. I like our Harmony spoon pusher. This is my favorite tool to use, and this is what I'm gonna use to push the epinicium back. I'm gonna go ahead and push, and then I'm gonna turn my tool over and use the detailing end of this tool. This tool here will let me detail right around the cuticle. So right around here, I'm gonna be able to go in and really detail any of that non-living tissue. So I don't know if you guys can see that little bit of white there. That right there is non-living tissue, and it's gonna come off very easily with our detailing tool. Afterwards, and just to be clear, we did remove any nail polish, we cleansed the nail, and we did our hand sanitation. And now we're gonna sanitize our tool. Gonna clean our tool. Clean our tool, and then we're also going to use nail surface cleanse to cleanse off the nail. My personal preference is to go up to the knuckle. It does several things for me, makes sure that the finger is completely clean, gives me a good grip, and I know that everything is completely clean. Afterwards, I'm going to jump over to our buffer. And this is a Harmony 100-180 buffer. I'm going to use the 100 side of this buffer and just gently remove the shine off her natural nail. If you can see, the buffer is not being pressed down. We do not need to apply any pressure. All we're doing is removing the shine off the natural nail. Afterwards, we're going to cleanse again. Get a brand new, clean, lint-free nail wipe. Great thing about being lint-free is it's not going to leave any little pieces of lint behind, which could end up making your progress worse down the road. So you'll see the nail is completely clean. Now we're ready to go ahead and start with our application on PolyGEL. We have our pH bond. We're going to use pH bond first. And this is going to dehydrate the nail and pH balance that natural nail. pH bond. And then to get PolyGEL to really stick, you don't need a harsh primer. Pro Bond is all you're going to need. Pro Bond is a acid-free primer, so it doesn't have that horrible smell. It's going to create great adhesion to our nail. And PolyGEL doesn't like to lift anyways. So wherever you put PolyGEL, you don't have to worry. It likes to stay put. So many of you guys have already seen many things about PolyGEL. PolyGEL is not an acrylic, it's not a gel. But wherever I put this, it's not gonna move. And the initial press is so important. We've seen so many people use this and they're not pressing like they should. So I'm gonna show you guys right now how I apply PolyGEL right now.
Someone wants to know if they need to etch the nail plate.
So we had a question of needing to etch the nail. When you don't need to etch a nail, all you need to really do is remove the shine off the nail.
Vu, how do you clean your brush?
How do I clean my brush? So that's a great question. So when cleaning the brush, what I like to do is I use our synthetic brush restore. This is a odorless product, so there's going to be no smell, absolutely odorless, and it is very easy to clean your brush with synthetic brush restore. Great questions, guys. Yeah, I'm not going to soak my brush in the brush restore. What I would do is put it into a little dappen dish and then do it that way and cleanse it that way. Since my brush is already clean, I'm really not going to need to do that. How I keep my brush clean is I just make sure that after every use, I clean it. So after every client, make sure that it's nice and clean. I have our natural clear PolyGel, and we're going to do one right on this thumb. You'll see that it has been prepped. There is Pro-Bond on there. And what we're going to do is squeeze. And with PolyGel, it's really cool that when you use PolyGel, you know exactly how much you get every single time. So when I'm doing a nail this size, remember, a little goes a long way. So I'm only going to get a little bit. And if that's too much, that's fine. If this is too much, I can put a little bit back, and that's the right amount. That is what I need. So I got what I need. I squeezed just the right amount. I sliced off just the right amount, and then I put it right on the nail. I'm gonna roll it right on our nail. If I was to do a full set in all natural clear, I would apply this on all 5 nails, and then I would start pressing. But since it's only on one nail, we're only going to do this very easily and use our poly tool. You'll see I don't get a lot of slip. I'm going to put this in the shot here so you guys can actually see how much slip I get. You don't need a lot. I can't stress it anymore than you don't need a lot. So I get a little bit of slip, and I'll wipe my brush, and now the brush is dry. With the brush, I'll put the bead in the center, and this is super important. Your first initial press, you want to press firmly to create that adhesion and to spread out your bead. So I'm pressing firmly here. So you see my bead spread out, and that bead is going to create a perfect size for my nail. It's also going to have that adhesion that we love so much about this product. So it's completely even around there. Now I'm just going to push back towards the cuticle. And I'm pressing firmly here. Love that you guys are having questions during this, because it does need some type of, it is something completely new, and I do think that it does require some sort of training or a lot of questions being asked.
How much slip solution should you use?
Very, very little. All slip does, so the question was, how much slip solution should you use? And I think that all slip does is keep my brush from sticking to PolyGel. So once you start feeling the brush start to stick to PolyGel, then you'll know it's time for you to get more slip. But until then, you really don't need a lot of slip. You need very, very little just to keep the brush from sticking. Okay, so now we're gonna only need to cure for 30 seconds. There you go. We don't need to do so much curing when you're doing PolyGel, and it doesn't over cure either. So let's say your hand wasn't placed in there correctly, or a client had her hand misplaced. It's okay to cure it again. It's not gonna hurt it any. You can under cure it though. So if you do cure for only say 10 seconds, I would go ahead and go back in the light and cure a little bit more. Always making sure my brush is clean in between.
We had someone ask if you should use a synthetic or natural hairbrush.
Personally, I prefer a synthetic brush for PolyGel. Those that are natural hair, they can kind of go their own way sometimes with natural hair. So I prefer a synthetic hairbrush, and that's my own personal preference, really. If you see here, this nail is completely dry. I can go ahead and do my shaping. If I already prepped this file, it's very, very dull, and it's very soft on the skin. I can't hurt her with this 180 grit file. So this is very, very user-friendly right now, and client-friendly. Gonna shape her nail, and then I'm gonna very gently file the surface. If you notice anything when I'm filing, I'm not putting down any pressure. So Rachel right now can't feel a thing. She's actually really enjoying it. And she laughed, which is good. It's a good sign for me. And if you notice something, I'm not wearing a mask. I don't need to to worry about the airborne dust with PolyGel. So you'll notice the dust will fall right onto my fingers. And the reason why is because the dust particles, they're heavier than acrylic dust particles, and they're heavier than hard gel particles. So it's a heavier dust particle, so it falls right down, right wherever I file at, and dust this guy off. And this nail is done. Super easy, super quick. Missed a little bit of dust here, but that's okay. I'm gonna cleanse this. So once again, lint-free wipe. Can't stress out how important it is to be lint-free when you're working with light-cured products. So now we can finish this nail however we want. I'm gonna finish it with Top It Off. So, gonna use Top It Off. We're gonna bring this clear natural nail into a beautiful shine. We're gonna apply a very thin coat. I'm gonna use my poly tool to do any cleanup work there. Yeah, that is a great point, Rachel. The new bottle. So our model was just saying how much she loved the new brush and the Gelish Top It Off. And if you guys didn't notice, the bottle is a new design, and it also has a new, wider, rounded brush. Also a new stem. So you'll see here the coverage on the new bottle and the brush here. We have the brush that has a round laser cut bristle there, covers the cuticle area perfectly. It's a little wider, so you need less strokes too. And Rachel here, our model, just loves that fact. She's been raving about it all day long.
Can you stress one more time that using too much slip will cause lifting?
Yes, using too much slip. So, Rachel, you are so full of great information. Using too much slip can lead to your lifting problems when you're using PolyGel. So make sure that when you are using PolyGel, that the amount of slip you use here is very minimal. You don't need a lot of slip solution when you're doing PolyGel. So this nail is done. I do need to have a lint-free wipe with some nail surface cleanse to remove the inhibition layer from our new Top It Off. And that is a natural nail overlay with natural clear, and you'll see that is beautiful. All I need to do is put a little bit of Nourish, which is also in the new bottle. I like it, it's frosted too.
Lou, if they're going to use gel polish over natural clear, do they still have to finish PolyGel with Top It Off?
Yes. Yes, Top It Off. If you're going to finish a nail with Gelish on top of PolyGel, do you still need to use Top It Off? And absolutely yes, you do, because you're wanting to finish a Gelish nail with a Gelish shine. You have to use Gelish Top It Off. That's going to be your top coat. So you definitely want that to shine. Without it, it's going to be very dull, very matte. All right, another question that we had, and a lot of people ask about doing backfill. So Rachel had this nail on. If you see the grow out, it's way, way down here. Her nail is, you see how far it is back here? That's how far it grew out. All right, so this nail has been on here for quite a long time. We're going to bring this white up to right around here and do a backfill on her. Now, very, very simple. I don't know if you guys are very familiar with using an e-file, but if you are using an e-file and very familiar with it, it is very, very simple to do with an e-file. I'll show you guys doing the e-file way, and if you're not an e-file user, that's fine. You can also do it with a hand file. However, with a hand file, you would just hand file down majority of the product and repeat your steps as if you were starting a very new application. So all I'm doing right now is removing her old Top It Off. her cuticle area was pre-done, so we don't waste too much time on this video. So all I need to do now, since we already pre-did her cuticle area, we're gonna really quickly do it again I've already pushed them back, so all I'm gonna do is remove the shine using my 100 side buffer. So I removed the shine off her natural nail. Gonna cleanse it. Gonna use our nail surface cleanse. Just a little tiny bit, you don't need a whole bunch. Cleanse that nail. Use our pH bond. So again, you guys will notice this is all gonna be in new packaging. It's gonna be in our new bottles. So it might look a little different, but it's all gonna be the same. It's gonna feel the same, it's gonna work the same. Pro Bond. It's not in a new bottle. Had to throw that one in there. Okay, we're only gonna put Pro Bond on the natural nail. So you can see where I put it, only on the natural nail. We don't need to put it on top of where PolyGEL is. Sometimes what that can do is when you're putting any type of chemical on top of a product, it can kind of yellow that product. So that's why I only put it on the natural nail. I'm gonna use the same pink she's wearing right now, which is a cover pink, and I'm gonna fill that gap that she has where the nail grew out. I'm gonna squeeze. I don't need a whole bunch, so that's good enough. I don't need any more than that. So I sliced off just the right amount, and I'm gonna roll it right onto her nail. And when I roll it, and this is a personal preference, I like to just hold my brush at about a 45-degree angle and roll it right onto her nail bed. I'll get my slip solution, just very little, I don't need a lot. I'm gonna fill this bead right where that grow out is, and it all starts with my very first press. So I put the product in the middle. I'm gonna get a little bit of slip, wipe my brush, and I'm gonna press firmly. Like I said, very firm with my press to help spread my bead and to create adhesion. So that very first bead is very, very important that I press firmly and get that product right where I want it. Now I'm gonna pull this bead downward while I'm spreading this out. And now I should have, it's not perfectly smooth, I'm gonna smoothen it out just a little bit more. So now it looks like she just has a very long nail bed. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and cure that for 30 seconds. And then I'll show you guys how we create a new smile line. And this is a very, very quick and easy process. If I were to do this all with a hand file, there are a lot of places that do not use an e-file. For you guys that don't use an e-file, I would file down majority of that product using a 180 grit file. Using a 180 grit file, file down majority of that product, and then apply your pink and apply your white.
Hey Boo, how do you clean your tools as far as buffers?
As far as buffers and files go, some states it's illegal to clean them, but if your state does allow you, I like to remove any major dust off of my brush, and then I will use an alcohol-based spray, which is a little bit of nail surface cleanse mixed in with some water. And then I'll just lightly spray my files with that after I remove majority of the dust. Okay, so here we're going to go ahead and do a backfill. Now what I like to use is an e-file that is a battery run e-file. So on a battery I don't need any cords. I'll use a carbide bit. And when I use my bits, I put them in all the way. By putting them in all the way, it doesn't allow the bit to wobble around and rotate on me. So I have a bit that's pushed in all the way. Now what I'm gonna do, and this may scare some of you guys, is I'm gonna turn this thing all the way to as fast as it goes. This thing can't go any faster. And the reason why I'm going so fast is because the longer I sit here on her nail with a drill, the faster it goes, less time. And time's gonna create heat. And so what I don't want her to do is feel a burn. So I'm gonna cut a straight line right through here. And that was quick. Didn't give it any time for it to really heat up. I'm gonna do a second pass. So I did 2 passes. PolyGel is so easy to file. If you take a look, I'm almost down to the natural tip here. I'm gonna do a couple passes on my corners, and that's a straight line. I'm gonna measure all of her nails to that same space right there. So if you guys can take a look here, you'll see the space from here to here. That's where I would want to do my initial cut on every single nail. That way the amount of white on every single nail is going to be exactly the same. Now, how do you get the corners and how you get to smile? Very, very easily. You just have to be very careful. Most important thing, protect the client. So I'm gonna pull my client skin to the side here as I bring my bit and make my corner cut here. It can be very quickly done. And that's my corner. I'm gonna do the other corner. Sorry, I might be off camera a little bit here. Remember, the e-file is only going to spin in one direction. If you're going back and forth, all you're doing is creating heat. Okay, so this thing's only going one direction at a time. It cannot go back and forth. So the only time it can is if you manually switch it over. So since it's only spinning in one direction, I should only move it in one direction without creating any heat. Did you feel any heat at all?
Nope.
It doesn't, it shouldn't burn. Okay, and since you'll see this is a natural tip under here. If it was on a natural nail, I wouldn't go so far down, but since it's a natural tip, it's gonna be okay for me to shape this pink a little bit using a 240. I would not use anything lower than 240. Just lightly, and you'll see I barely have to do this at all. Barely have to touch that pink. That's all I have to do, is very gentle with it. Now I would just apply my white. So applying the white is extremely easy. I'm gonna use bright white. Now if you're having problems or you're using some of these tips that are non-branded tips, sometimes those are gonna be recycled plastic. With recycled plastic, you will need to etch it a little bit or remove the shine off recycled plastic. These are not. So these are our Perfetto tips. These guys, it's gonna be okay for me to just remove the shine off of it. I don't need a 180. I could just use a buffer for this. So I'm just removing the shine off the tip, because using a carbide, it leaves a very, very smooth surface. So now this nail is ready for white. I'm gonna take bright white. Okay, let's go ahead and we'll get a new towel here. And we're gonna apply, I'm gonna show you guys how to get slip solution without making a mess everywhere. Hopefully I don't make a mess while I'm live. Take your poly tool, take your slip solution, gently pour it right down your dapping dish.
Can you explain a little bit more on what slip solution is and the smell and why it's so great?
So slip solution, why it's so great is because slip is a step-in-free formula. It is not a monomer. It is not something that mixes with, say, a ratio like acrylics. You don't have to worry about, do I got the right amount of slip mixing into it? There's no mixing. Okay, so it's very, very user friendly. It's also very client friendly. So let's say I happen to get a little bit on my client's skin. I don't have to worry about her developing an allergic reaction to slip. Now, is that recommended that we pour slip all down our client's finger? Probably not. Okay, but we did make it so it is a 7-free formula. With it being 7-free, it makes it so that just in case it does happen, no one's gonna get an allergic reaction. The smell, lovely, lovely scent. It has a cucumber melon scent to it, which makes it not a salon environment, it makes it a spa environment. So in here, it smells like cucumber and melons right now. It's fabulous.
Can you let them know that bright white and soft white both need to cure for 60 seconds? If it's only curing for 30, that would be
Yeah. So we have some people that have some curing issues with our bright white or with the soft white. I mean, either way, you can not over cure this. So if it didn't cure in 30, I would recommend curing it 60. And there's nothing wrong with curing it for 60 seconds. As a matter of fact, I'm going to cure it for 60 seconds, and there's nothing wrong with that. I'm also going to use my slip solution as a cleanser for my spatula end of my poly tool. So you'll see now my poly tool, the spatula end, is completely clean. We're going to squeeze a little bit of bright white out. Slice. That's too much. That's way too much. So I'm just going to put a little bit back in my tube, and now I have the right amount. So you see, I don't waste any product there. Actually, this is probably a little too much, but it's okay. Because it's very, very easy to file PolyGEL. Absolutely so easy. You saw how easy it was for me to use an e-file there. I'll put the bead of bright white right in the center. I'm going to press down firmly to spread it out, and then I'm going to push one end up into the corner. And if you take a look at how deep that smile line looks, absolutely gorgeous. Easy to do. And look how smooth and soft that just went right in. And will this last 2 weeks? Absolutely, it's going to last 2 weeks. It's going to make that perfect bond right into that cover pink and right into the existing PolyGEL underneath. So we just made a nail that had grown out for 4 or 5 weeks, Rachel? How long was it? 5 weeks?
Yep.
Yeah, 5 weeks. Looked like a brand new nail. So there we go. We brought that white from way down here all the way up. We're going to cure that for 60 seconds, Rachel.
Ooh, I love that PolyGEL tool. Can you show?
Yeah,
show
so
us?
we have people that are absolutely huge fans of the Poly tool here. The Poly tool is in very high demand right now. I'm using a little bit of slip to clean the spatula end. So you'll see it is labeled here with our Gelish logo. This is a very sturdy and strong spatula end. And then we also have synthetic brush hairs hair. So it also has a lid. So for travelers, people that are mobile nail techs, or people that travel all over the world and do special things like that, we have a lid. I'm very careful when I put this in to protect our poly tool. When you're like, I keep this in my backpack, and so this goes with me like my pens do, right in the backpack. Super easy. 60 seconds was perfect amount of time. I can tell when I touch it, it's hard, it's strong, it's very easy to file. Gonna always do my edge filing first before I do my surface filing. So you'll see when I file, I do hold the file straight up and down so I can see that my lines are straight. There's not much filing needed. If you guys want to take a look, I'm going to have Rachel rotate her finger around so you guys can actually look at this nail. It's very, very thin. The white is completely cured, and it doesn't look very bad either.
Can you let them know that a slip cannot be replaced with alcohol?
Oh my god, if people are using slip or using alcohol instead of slip, it's not the solution for you. What slip does, and this has been tested with the industry's top lab techs, with the top chemists in the industry to work and perform specifically for PolyGEL. So if you guys are trying to substitute your slip solution for something else, it's not going to be the same. First, you're not going to get the workability that you would get, and it'd be so easy for you like it was for me. Next, you're not going to get that great cucumber melon scent either. But the workability is the most important part, guys. So we want to make sure that when we're worried about workability and ease of application, use the stuff that comes with the kit, or use the stuff that comes with the line. It's all designed to work together. So all I'm doing now is doing my surface filing. This is super easy. You'll see I can't cut her with this file. All right, you see, it's super soft, and we make the best files out there, guys. So if you're trying to find a great file that won't hurt your client and that you can use with great confidence, check out the Harmony files, guys. Beautiful files, great shape, even rounded so you can get into the cuticle areas when you need to in a tough spot. And we also have great products that go with the files. So it all goes together perfectly, and it's very easy for anyone to do. So here was a backfill. If you saw, I didn't really need to do a lot of filing, but I do need to make sure that I shape this really nicely and make it look nice for you guys. So I'm gonna make it look really, really tight here. I'm also gonna check my client's point of view, because sometimes she'll say it doesn't look straight, and to be honest with you guys, it is actually her finger. I'm not being funny, but it actually is her finger. Actually, her nail does that. So, not trying to be funny, but it really is in this case. Not always like that.
I think everyone's admiring that Dappin dish next to you.
They like, well,
Yeah.
all solid glass. It's great for me to take on the road. It's also great for me at home. I've never had one crack, chip, or anything, and I travel a lot. I'm on the road quite a bit.
And you can buy it at trade shows, right?
You can buy it at trade shows. You can get it at your local distributor, hopefully. If not, tell them to order it. If they don't have it, tell them to get it. I'm doing a very light buff here, and I really didn't need to do a lot of buffing. That nail was really, really nice the way it is. And so you guys saw how that white went from one place to another. I'm just gonna blend the cuticle area a little bit more. See that I needed to get a little closer there. And now we're good. Gonna use our newly designed Top It Off. And we're going to bring a beautiful full shine to this back-filled nail. I think I'm on camera, right? Yeah.
You're looking beautiful, Boo.
Am I?
Yeah.
Is that your comment or?
Yeah.
Oh. Well, thanks, Mo. So what do you guys think? That's a backfilled nail. I know, John.
Where can we get the Dappin dish?
You can get the Dappin dish at your local distributor, if they do not carry this 100% solid glass dapping dish, tell them they need to order it.
And the trade shows.
And the trade shows, which you will find us at most of those huge, large trade shows. 30 seconds under the 18G LED Plus. One thing about the 18G LED Plus that makes it different than a lot of the LED lights that are in the market, and some people might have curing problems because they're not using an 18G LED Plus, is that we do have 18 2-watt LEDs in there. Now, most of the LEDs out in the market, they're 1 watt, so you're not going to have that same curing that we get. And you'll see that every single time we cure, we don't have problems. That white is completely cured. And we're going to cleanse the inhibition layer off. You'll see we don't need a whole ton of nail surface cleanse on there. If you guys want to take a look here, I'm going to put a little bit of Nourish cuticle oil on, but not to try to hide anything. Take a look. This thing, I mean, it looks a little crooked, but that's her finger. All right. What's our next nail that we want to do, guys?
So what if I want to put Gelish on top of PolyGel?
So
how does that work?
It works absolutely perfect on PolyGel. As a matter of fact, let me show you guys, okay? Let me show you guys exactly how easy this is. Got a little bit of dust on there. These nails, okay. I'm gonna just cleanse them all. I've already prepped them. I've already removed the shine with a 100 grit buffer. Now, our 100 grit buffers, don't let that fool you, okay? That does not mean that it's a super coarse buffer. I can run this across her skin here and not have to worry about making her cut or bleed. This is a very smooth buffer. Don't let that sound fool you, okay? I'm gonna cleanse. And then we're going to pH on. pH bond, and then we're going to use our Pro Bond. I've gone around to many trade shows, and some people have asked me what works better, an acid-based primer or an acid-free primer. To be honest with you, I've tested both, and Pro Bond actually works better than some of the acid primers that are out there in the market. So there's no need for that acid-based primer, which can cause itching, which can cause a little bit of heat sensation on the nails. Don't have to use those type of products. I'm going to use a different color here. We're going to use light pink. Doesn't mean that every single nail that you do, if you're going to put color on top, I could use something like light pink. That's perfectly okay. I'm going to squeeze just a little bit before I slice. I don't need a lot, okay? This is more than enough for this nail. I'm gonna roll it right onto her nail there. Don't need a lot. That's more than enough. So each one of these 2-ounce tubes can do anywhere from 300 to 400 nails. That's 30 to 40 full sets. And when you do happen to get down to your 380th nail, you can use what we have is a tube key. Tube key goes right on top of the tube, and then you can squeeze out every little bit of PolyGel your heart desires. So you want to push it all out there, get every little drop, use the tube key. And it's also logoed very nicely. Don't need it, these are brand new. I would only suggest using it when you start to feel that you need to use it, because if you put on a brand new tube, you can start to put a lot of pressure, and then you open up your PolyGel tube, and then PolyGel starts coming out automatically. You don't need an automatic PolyGel dispenser, do you? But if you do, there you go. I don't need one. 'Cause I like to gauge exactly how much I get for each client. Get my poly tool cleaned up with a little bit of slip here. Gonna clean up my spatula end. And now I'm gonna do the easiest nail ever.
Now you prepped the nail, right? You just didn't
Absolutely.
put PolyGEL right before it?
So I only did one prep nail on camera right here, which all the other ones I have already removed the shine off her natural nail with my Harmony 100-180 grit buffer. And I also used a spoon pusher to push back and remove that non-living tissue. So they've already been pre-prepped. I didn't want to waste your guys' time with too much prep. Most of us should already know prep pretty well. But for those that are new and those that have not been doing nails for such an extreme amount of time or just unfamiliar with many different ways of prep, you only need to remove the shine with a 100-180 grit buffer. I use the 100 side. Okay, it's not really rough. So you can see, don't cause any damage to myself. There are other buffers on the market that say they're 180 grit buffers and they're actually rougher than this. Okay, so
Emma says hi. She said hi, Boo.
hi Emma, how are you? You ready to see PolyGEL done very easily? You see, this thing didn't even move, didn't even budge. So what that allows me to do is, should I go ahead and do it? Yeah, I should do it. Since we're doing other applications here, I'm gonna go ahead and cheat a little bit. Let me show you guys what we can do here. We're gonna do pH on the rest of these 3 nails. And then we're gonna probe on the other nails too. Now all 3 nails are gonna be pH'd and probe on. There we go. So now I'm gonna apply to all of her nails. But I'm going to do something a little different on this ring finger. I'm going to show you guys one more time a pink and white application without E-file. So we're not doing any cutting out. We're just going to do, and see how little I get? This is our cover pink. I don't need a lot. If I need a little more, I can grab a little more, but you don't need a lot. That's more than enough for this application. So you see the size difference between the beads here? It's pretty dramatic. It's pretty huge, different size and beads there. Get my natural clear. Since I'm doing so many different colors, I'm cleaning my spatula in between every one. But if you're gonna do this on a client, you're typically not gonna use this many different shades, right? This is way too much for that pinky. So I don't need that much. I put a little bit back. That's still too much, so I put even more back. That's the right amount. That's gonna take you guys a little bit of time to figure out how much is the right amount. Typically in the beginning, when I first started doing PolyGEL, I was always getting too much. And that's probably gonna happen to majority of users out there. You're gonna end up getting too much PolyGEL and using too much slip. Okay, so just as a reminder, you don't need a lot of slip. Very, very little amounts of slip is required. So here we go, we're gonna do our application. Typically when we work on clients, I work from the pinky all the way to the thumb. So here we go, we're gonna start with our pinky. Get another lint-free wipe here for my slip. Place my bead in the center of the nail, and then I press firm, very firmly, to create that adhesion, and it does another thing, spread my bead out for me so there's less work for me to do as I'm smoothing this nail out. And so it only took the application on this pinky only took me a few seconds to do. And you can see it's a very smooth application. Make it a little bit smoother. And there we go. Only takes a few seconds. Okay, but that first initial press is so important. I'm going to show you guys doing a pink and white nail here. I'm putting that bead. I'm lining it up in the center, so when I do my first initial press, you'll see a few things. I'm pressing hard, but then I have a smile line here. You see how I already have a smile line? I just barely pressed that bead. Now I'm just going to press around the cuticle area, get that area nice and thin. And then I'm going to move over to one side. I'm going to my left side first. And then I'm going to go to my right side. So I get on the right side. And so you see that little bit of pink that I put on there was very, very little. It was more than enough for this nail. More than enough. I didn't need any more than that. But I already have a beautiful smile line. I just need to do very, very little cleanup on it. So I'm going to take my poly tool, taking my brush in, and I'm going to clean up the smile line. I'm going to go to the other side. It really doesn't need a lot. So sometimes, you know, I go around to different places, and I've had some people say, can you use a cutting tool with PolyGEL? And it's unnecessary. You don't need to, because you see here, I already have a beautiful smile line with my very first initial press. It was very, very simple. Now I will jump over to my middle finger. I don't have to worry about that thing moving around. I'm going to press firmly, spread my bead out, and go towards the cuticle and make this nail smoother.
Your brother wants you to bring him home some PolyGEL.
Of course.
While you're doing the nails, Boo,
Yes.
Will you tell us how long you have been doing nails and a little bit about your
Okay,
background?
so a little bit about me is that I've been doing nails for close to 15 years. I went to an art school out here in Valencia called Cal Arts, and I was studying to be an artist, and I ran into many different roads in art. Ended up doing nails, very oddly ended up doing nails, and really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed the arts of doing nails and what we can do to make it more of an art and make things become art and make it beautiful. So it was a real passion for me to really become part of a group of artists and nail techs that we look at doing nails as an art, and that's the way it is here. We cured for 30 seconds. We still need to finish one nail off here. So I haven't used one thing yet. And that would be our soft white. I'm gonna squeeze a little bit of soft white. So this is a shorter nail. I'm gonna use soft white to make it look more like a natural nail. Don't need a lot. Very, very little is needed. Even that, way too much. Put a little bit back. That's not enough, but that's the right amount. And so it's gonna take a lot of time to kind of figure out what is the right amount for that person. We're gonna go ahead and roll this bead right onto pink. And then we're going to clean up this stepping dish a little bit and get more slip. So slip, I'm gonna use that same little trick I showed you guys earlier for a little bit. And the reason why I don't pour a lot in here, you don't need a lot. You really don't need a lot of slip, guys, and I just can't stress that enough, because it can do so many things that you can get lifting, because it can flood a nail with slip. So I'm not going to flood the nail with slip. I'm going to move this bead of soft white towards the center as I press it down firmly and split it into two sections and push up one section at a time.
Since PolyGEL is not an acrylic nor a hard gel, how do you convince your new clients to try it?
to be honest with you guys, all of my clients right now are using PolyGEL. I don't have any acrylic users anymore. And the reason why everybody switched over to PolyGEL is because it's more light, it's very lightweight, it feels natural, it doesn't have an odor, so they don't have to put up with the smell of a monomer, and it holds extremely tight. It does not like to lift unless we make it lift.
So what do you like about PolyGEL?
I like the fact that it's extremely easy for me to use it. So wherever I put it, it puts me in control. Whereas acrylics controlled me by telling me when to dry. It would dry on its own by air. Gels would tell me where to move. PolyGEL doesn't tell me any of that. So like with gels, by the time I finished working on the pinky all the way to the thumb, that pinky I'd have to go return back and move it into place. So it moved on its own. PolyGEL doesn't move on its own. Where acrylics, they dry on their own. PolyGEL, I tell it when to dry. So I have complete control of this product. Okay, so all 3 nails here, they're completely done. They need very, very little surface filing. So you'll see it's easier to file than acrylic. It's easier to file than hard gel. It's actually easier to control than either one of them. So the way I control this is very, very simple. It's very similar to acrylic, the way I apply it, the way I press the bead. And it's, for the user, it is very lightweight, feels natural, and it doesn't like to lift. So you'll see.
How do you feel that PolyGEL is going to change the industry?
I feel that it already has changed the industry. More people are exposed to this product, and the more that it gets into people's hands, and it's going to change the way we look at nails altogether. We're going to become more of a health conscious group of nail technicians, nail customers. It's going to make it better for the whole planet, actually.
What file are you using?
So I'm using right now as my surface filing. I'm doing it with a 180 grit Harmony file right here. I don't need, the whole time I've been doing PolyGEL, I've never felt the need for a 150 grit, a 100 grit, a 80 grit. Those are unnecessary. I don't feel like I need those at all when I'm doing this. It's so easy to file. If you see how my filing here, I'm doing all the filing by hand, and the filing's so easy. It's not like I'm up here struggling. I'm not sweating up here because of filing.
And the dust isn't airborne, right?
No, there is no airborne dust, so I'm not breathing in any of these dust particles, so it's falling right down. So no need for me to wear a mask. I can lightly, and I do stress, very lightly buff. I don't really need to do any heavy buffing to get a perfect smooth nail. I'm just taking off any harsh corners here and smoothing some little tiny things out, detailing with my buffer really. Gonna cleanse, and then we are going to apply one Morgan Taylor nail, one Gelish nail, so that you guys can see how easy it is. And this is just like if we were doing, okay, any enhancement nail. So I'm going to do this really quickly for you guys. Morgan Taylor nail, we're going to do that as a pinky. I'll move my dapping dish. I'm going to make sure I use my base coat, stick with it. So we have our stick with it right here, and going to apply our base coat. This will prevent any staining and ensure good adhesion. Then with our middle finger, or yeah, our middle finger, get confused. If you want to guarantee that your Gelish, see, it's also in a new bottle, new packaging, guarantee that it doesn't ever peel or chip, use foundation. It's not necessary, you don't need to use foundation, but this is going to ensure and guarantee that nothing will chip off here. Very thin coat.
Now this is being applied over PolyGel, no problem.
Over PolyGel, not a problem. I'm gonna change my time on my light to 5 seconds. That's all the time I need for our foundation. You don't need anything more than 5 seconds. We're going to take our brush here. This is our Maestro brush, and I'm using it to dry brush my foundation. Now this prevents Gelish from shrinking, and it also makes it so it stays put exactly where I put it. I'm going to apply my Gelish color here. You'll also notice the new Gelish bottles also have a new brush. I love the new bottles. I think they're great. Love that new brush. See how it fans out? Fits nice and snug into the cuticle area. And it's nice and wide. And it also gives me the control. So you notice I didn't get it all over her skin. And then I'm also going to apply one coat of color. Kind of multitasking here. Going to apply our new Morgan Taylor brush. Got a little bit on the corner there, so what I'm going to use my poly tool. I'm taking my poly tool to clean up any little bits of nail lacquer. I'm also going to apply Top It Off on the ring finger. We are definitely multitasking towards the end here. Okay, let's go ahead and we can cure those, Rachel. I changed my timer back to 30 seconds. So many different applications, guys. This is a product that is really going to change the nail industry, change the way you look at nails, and change the way you do nails. This is the product for everyone. So if you guys can see, that was very, very simple application. You can do multiple finishes with PolyGel. We're gonna apply our second coat of color, which is not necessary. I'm gonna do it anyways, but it's really not necessary because it covers great in one coat. If you look here closely, this is perfect coverage with just one coat of color. I didn't go in the back and add tons of pigment to this and change it up a little. This is the way it comes. Nothing is doctored here.
And Boo, you helped test PolyGel, right? So you know that it really works and ins and outs of it.
I'm a firm believer, and yes, I was testing this product before we launched it, and I wore it on my own nails and tested it on myself, and look at my nails. They're not the greatest nails, but even people without the greatest nails can wear PolyGel, and I'm a firm believer just because of that, because my nails aren't so great, and it worked great on my nails. Okay, two more different finishing top coats here. One for our Morgan Taylor. I'm going to use Need for Speed. It's a fast drying nail lacquer top coat.
So fast.
Super fast. If you have the Need for Speed, this is what you need. I have the Need for Speed. I got 3 tickets already for speeding in my new car, and yeah, it sucked. Almost lost my driver's license. And you top it off on this nail. Did you guys want me to use Need for Speed because of my tickets?
Hint, hint.
Huh?
long does this will stay up like forever on Facebook?
This is looking great, Boo.
Thank you guys.
So, if I wanted to remove it, let's say a while from now, how
Okay.
easy is it?
Well, I can't stress the fact that it's so easy to file. So I can file it down to about 75 to 80% of the product and then buff the rest off. Or I can use an e-file. Like I said, it's a very soft product. It's super easy to file. And I'm going to file down about 75, 80%. You see how easy it is to file? That's how easy and quick it is to soak off and remove. It is something that you can file off super quickly and get down to the natural nail. I've already gotten super close to her natural nail, and you can always tell where the natural nail is because there's a different shine to the natural nail. And so I think this is much faster right here using a 180 than it is to use a foil and a wrap system. I mean, foils and wraps work great for gel polishes and for some acrylics, but here I'm already 80% down to a natural nail. We're gonna buff. And we're gonna use the smoother 180 side of the buffer. And that's it. That was our removal. Take a look here. So that's her natural nail. Three different looks. Any more comments or questions?
I think that's it for today.
Well, thank you very much, guys. This was the most fun I've had.
So thanks,
We're
guys.
live. We're still live.
We're so live.
Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you for joining us, everyone. And thank you so much for everyone who submitted their questions. And a few people were asking how long the video is going to be up. It will be up on our Facebook page permanently, and we will also be uploading it to YouTube later in the week.
And remember, you can buy PolyGEL right now at your Cosmoprost stores or your local distributor. And we'll have education classes up on our website and our Facebook page. So feel free to tune us in next time as we explore more into PolyGEL.
Thank you very much, guys.
Thanks.